This was a huge point of contention last week between the Giants and the Washington Commanders. Let me preface this by saying this, right? And a lot of people started talking about this, talking about games being scripted. Do I think that games are scripted? I don't know. Okay? I'm going to be quite honest with you. Is it possible? Yes. It definitely is possible. I've never said it's impossible. Even when I did the video response to with Tyson, when he did that whole Chiefs 49ers thing, that their Super Bowl, how he said it was all fixed. Even then, when I responded to that video, I said that it was definitely possible. But I cannot say 100% positively that that is the truth. It is more likely that, number one, these officials are inept. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, right? Number two, the rule book is entirely too large and detailed. And number three, there's just such an inconsistency over what a ref will call and what a ref won't call. To the point where you will have games where even if players are touchy-feely with each other, they won't call a penalty. And then again, like if you breathe on a guy, penalty, right? They don't call it consistently. That is why you get so much deviation between what one game to another game. And they're mostly talking about the last drive where I think it was Terry McLaurin was on the line. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. He was on the line and he checked with the referee to see if he was close enough. And the referee, I think he put his thumb up. And then, or he said move up a little more. And he moved up a little more. And they called that for illegal formation. Even though Terry McLaurin thought that the referee gave him the thumbs up. And then in the end zone on the final play, they didn't call pass interference, despite the fact that the defender was bear hugging the receiver. And a lot of people say, or especially Commanders fans said, that's a clear sign that the referees were out to get us. Okay. I've been an official before, right? I've made my fair share of laughable, horrible calls. I don't think there's a single official out there that hasn't done something like that. There have been situations where referees have fixed games and they've been caught for that. They've been called out for that. But isn't it eerily strange that when that happens, when people start calling it out, it's when it happens to their team. And when you're the recipient, for the most part, when you are helped by that bad call, you don't say anything about it. It's almost like, again, and I said this after the Commanders game, when the Eagles lost to the Commanders, I said this: you can't count on the officials to win you ball games. You can't count on them to do that. Because this has been a problem in the NFL for years. It's been years that officials have been not doing well. It's been years that officials have been making awful calls. It's almost like when this stuff happens, they're just like, I didn't know that happened. No, it happens all the time. You just need to wake up. When Dallas Goedert was pulled down by his face mask and we lost because of that, or not lost because of that, and he fumbled and the Commanders were able to kick a field goal, where were the Commanders fans there? I'll tell you where they were. They were gloating about winning the game, which they did win the game. Sometimes, I mean, it's a lesson that if you don't know this lesson, you need to learn this lesson. Sometimes you're going to be helped by the officials. Yeah. And sometimes you're not. And when you're not, you're going to feel incredibly salty. Like many Eagles fans were. Incredibly upset by that. Do I think that that's an excuse? Do I think that the games need to be officiated better? Of course I do. Of course I do. But let me let you in on something, right? These officials get graded. Every single week they get graded. And this isn't in defense of them. By the way, I'm not defending the NFL officials. I've had a million issues with the NFL officials. This is more like I'm in the acceptance phase. I want the NFL officiating to be better, but I know for a fact games, you'll have missed calls. You'll have missed calls that will affect the game. And at the end of the day, you can't depend on the officials. You need to play the game. Right? But people don't understand this. People just think, oh, that's a bad call. They cost us the game. There are maybe 1% of chances that there are dirty refs in this league. The rest of it, the game happens so fast. And again, I've been an official, right? I've missed calls. It happens. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's really nothing you can do. The rule book is just so big. There's so much that happens on the field, and it happens so quickly. Sometimes you're not in a good angle to see it. Sometimes you make the wrong call. And it sucks when it happens to you. Believe me. Believe me. You don't think I've ever seen a bad call? Oh, I've seen some terrible calls. I've also made some terrible calls. Do I think that there needs to be more accountability? Yes, I do. I think there needs to be way more accountability from the top down. I don't think that the NFL should be parading their I don't believe that referees shouldn't be allowed to be criticized. I think that that's disgusting. I think that that's absolutely disgusting that a coach can't or a player can't come out and say, yeah, they cost us the game. I don't think that I know that you get fined if you do something like that. I don't think the refs are sacred. I think that you should be able to criticize them, even all the way up as a head coach, as an owner, as a GM. You should be able to do that. But instead, the NFL protects the refs, and just understand that this is something that happens. And again, this isn't a new thing. This is a tale as old as time. Okay? But there's nothing we can do about that. Do I think that there's a chance that these games get fixed? Yes, I do. Do I personally have any evidence of that? No. And again, I've always said this. In order to fix a game, you got to have more than the referees involved. You need to have the players and the coaches involved. Right? Do I think that referees can shave points? Of course they can. Do I think referees can determine outcomes of games? Yes, of course I can. But to just fix a game, man, you're going to need more than just logic says you need more than just the referees to do that. Right? You need more than just that. But ultimately, I think that there are the three factors that go into this. Rulebook is too big. Stuff happens that's too fast. The referees obviously miss stuff. And obviously, the final thing is lack of accountability. Because if you don't have any accountability, nothing will change.